Good evening. The Dayton City Commission meeting will now come to order. This evening's invocation will be given by Commissioner Joseph.
Thank you, Mayor. Dear Lord, thank you for your many blessings. Please guide us in our focus on the humble things of life. Please grant us wisdom and humility to carry out your will. Please help us to continue to reach residents in all parts of this city and to provide encouragement for the days to come. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. McClendon, may we please have a roll call?
Mayor Turner-Sloss.
Aye.
Commissioners Joseph.
Aye.
Shaw. Fairchild.
Aye.
Beckham.
Aye.
May I please have a motion to excuse the absence of Commissioner Shaw?
So moved, Your Honor.
Second the motion, Your Honor.
It has been properly moved and seconded to excuse the absence of Commissioner Shaw. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the January the 14th, 2026 meeting?
So move, Your Honor.
Second the motion, Your Honor.
It has been properly moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the January the 14th, 2026 meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Ms. McClendon, are there any communications or petitions?
There are none, Your Honor.
There are no presentations this evening. Ms. McClendon, are there any additions, deletions, or comments to the calendar this evening?
There are none, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. McClendon. Ms. Lofton, are there any additions, deletions, or comments to the calendar this evening?
Your Honor, while I have no additions or deletions to this evening's calendar, I would like to highlight items A3 and B4, which are two important agreements that demonstrate our commitment to supporting the professional and personal well-being of our city employees. A3 is a professional service agreement with Space Creator LLC for $105,000 or $52,500 annually for 2 years, ending 12/31/2027. And the purpose of this agreement is to provide consulting services that improve organizational culture within the police department. This includes leadership development programming, curriculum design, cohort facilitation, and continuing education under the From Line to Leader program that has been instituted in the police department. And of course, these efforts aim to strengthen the leadership skills, primarily of the supervisors in the police department, enhance retention, and foster a positive work environment. And item B4 is with Premier Community Health. It's our employee assistance program and substance abuse services. And this is for a $350,000 or $75,000 annually over 5 years. And the term ends December 31st, 2030. And again, this is to continue providing confidential counseling, critical incident response, and substance abuse professional services for our employees and their families. These resources help address personal challenges, promote mental health, and ensure compliance with all of our federal standards. And why does this all matter? Because investing in our employees' professional growth and personal health is essential for building a resilient, high-performing workforce. These agreements together provide tools and support that help both our police department and all of our employees in the city thrive, reduce stress, and maintain a safe, productive workplace, ultimately benefiting the entire organization and our Dayton community. So it's with pleasure that I present those two agreements this evening. And that is all.
Thank you, Ms. Lofton. Really appreciate the detail. Thank you. Ms. McClendon, are there any citizens registered to speak this evening?
Your Honor, there are no citizens registered to speak on calendar items.
Thank you, Ms. McClendon. Commissioners, Commissioner Beckham?
Not many comments tonight. I am just a little curious. I know the organization is going through an organization-wide cultural kind of evaluation. This seems, of course, for the police department specific and, kind of drills down in that particular department. Can you just speak a little more to how the two are going to complement each other?
Sure. This is directly born out of the culture
Gotcha.
initiative. So
Gotcha.
every department went through an exercise and created their individual culture plans to help improve the culture of their individual organizations, which ultimately will translate into the overall culture of the organization. And this initiative came out of that plan, specifically to focus on the supervisors and training them up and getting them prepared to lead effectively, and to make sure that the culture that the police department is trying to implement filters all the way down to the street officer. So this is an implementation of their culture plan that has been adopted.
Thank you, Ms. Lofton.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Commissioner Beckham. Commissioner Fairchild.
No questions or comments tonight.
Thank you. Commissioner Joseph.
Nothing today. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the city manager's recommendation?
So moved.
Second the motion, Your Honor.
Thank you. It has been properly moved and second to approve the city manager's recommendations. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. Legislation, Ms. McClendon.
First reading emergency resolution number 6915-26, appointing a member to the Montgomery County Convention Facilities Authority and declaring an emergency.
Having been declared an emergency, I move for the immediate passage of resolution number 6915-26.
Second the motion, Your Honor.
Thank you. It has been moved and seconded to declare an emergency resolution number 6915-26 as an emergency. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no.
Second reading emergency resolution number 6915-26, appointing a member to the Montgomery County Convention Facilities Authority. Mayor Turner-Sloss,
Aye.
Commissioners Joseph,
Aye.
Fairchild,
Aye.
Beckham.
Aye.
That is all, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. McClendon. This evening we have a board appointment.
Yes, ma'am. Your Honor, I move to appoint Colleen Ryan to the Montgomery County Convention Facilities Authority for a term ending December 31st, 2029.
I second the motion.
Thank you. It has been properly moved and seconded to appoint Ms. Colleen Hunt to the Montgomery County Convention Facilities Authority for a term ending December 31, 2029. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say no. I believe now we are open for a public hearing. Ms. Lofton.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, Commissioners and members of our public. Tonight, we are holding a public hearing on the city's 2026 budget, a process that began months ago and reflects extensive input from our community, the Commission, and our internal teams. The proposed budget has been publicly available since October 2025, and we've provided multiple opportunities for engagement throughout its development. This budget is built on our policy budget framework, which ensures that resources align with community priorities and measurable outcomes. It also addresses key areas raised by both the Commission and our residents. It supports youth activities, housing stability, violence prevention, public safety, and neighborhood revitalization. It also ensures our two major enterprises, the Aviation Department and our Water Departments, are well-funded to protect our public health, drive economic development, and enhance business and visitor experiences in our community. The 2026 plan makes significant investments in programs for young people, expanded housing options and home repairs, and initiatives like our Cure Violence and the Mediation Response Unit. It is all designed to improve community safety. It strengthens police and fire services and accelerates demolition and redevelopment of blighted properties throughout the city. It also funds capital equipment and infrastructure upgrades to keep our city's assets strong and service delivery efficient throughout our neighborhoods. This is a balanced budget that meets all of our legal requirements and reflects our commitment to fiscal responsibility. It positions Dayton for continued progress, supporting families, strengthening neighborhoods, and investing in the infrastructure and services that make our city vibrant. Thank you for your engagement and partnership in this process. At this time, I'd like to call Abby Patel-Jones, the Director of Management and Budget, to give a brief presentation summarizing the process, the budget, and our next steps for adopting our City of Dayton 2026 budget.
Thank you, City Manager. Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager,
Good
Clerk.
evening.
Good evening.
As the City Manager mentioned, today's public hearing is being held for the 2026 budget. And before we get started with the presentation, I want to reiterate what the City Manager mentioned before this evening's public hearing. The public input process following the City Manager's recommended budget presentation, which took place, as you know, on October 15th, public access to the proposed budget has been made available through the city's website, through the City Commission office, and the city's financial transparency portal, Dayton Open Data. So diving into the agenda, we will walk through the summary of the budget process to date. We will also review the 2026 budget, including the general fund's major budget solutions, the budget resolution as it was adopted, and we will then lastly talk through some of the key dates. This slide provides an overview of the critical components of the budget process, which began
Excuse me.
in July.
I apologize. Could you please zoom in to make it clear as much as possible, please? Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate it. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All right. So as I was saying, this slide provides the representation and overview of the critical components of the budget process, which began in July, and it spans nearly 9 months. While the text, I understand it is a bit small on the graphic illustrates the full scope of the budget process to date. On the left-hand side, you can see the key public processes, and on the right-hand side, we see the key administrative processes. Under the key public processes, you'll see the participants who contribute to the budget process, which includes the Dayton residents, businesses, and stakeholders, as well as the City Commission, the City Manager's Office, Management and Budget, along with the department directors and the fiscal staff, who all provide input and feed into the budget process on a continuous basis. The public input includes initiatives such as the Dayton Survey, the annual Dayton Survey, which was mailed to the households at the end of summer. We are in the process of analyzing the data, and we hope to bring the final presentation to you in a work session in the coming months. We also gather input through the Dayton Open Data, which allows residents to view the city's financial information and provide feedback on the portal itself. Additionally, there are boards and advisory groups, such as the Community and Neighborhood Development Advisory Board and the Revenue Advisory Committee, who also play an integral role in the budget process. The city also gathers input by participating in the neighborhood association meetings, as well as through various community engagement efforts, which includes the mayor's porch tour, and it also includes the quarterly neighborhood presidents forum meetings, which provide valuable resident input. The City Commission also contributes to the budget process by interacting with the City Manager's Office. We provide you with budget briefings, the annual performance management report, which is also shared, the monthly finance committee updates, which also includes in-person quarterly briefings. The City Manager also provides budget direction and recommendations, while individual city departments are actively involved through series of meetings during the peak budget season. All of these contributions help prioritize and set the direction for the budget, and that begins after we analyze 6 months of financial data and start estimating revenues for the upcoming fiscal year. Before finalizing the revenue projections, we engage with the Revenue Advisors Group to gather their input, their respective industries' insights. This extensive process culminates into development of the City Manager's recommended budget, which was, as I mentioned earlier, presented to you on October 15, 2025. The budget process was modified, as you may recall, 3 budget cycles ago, which allows us the shifted timeline, which was about a month ahead, which allows for more time for deliberation and input. Does this work?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So, based on the projected revenues and expenditures, 2026 general fund budget was balanced mostly with one-time sources that totals to about $14.8 million as outlined on this slide. As you can see, we have $1.5 million that's coming from one health insurance holiday that is planned for fiscal year 2026. We also have $1.3 million from FEMA tornado reimbursement from the 2019 tornado. $5 million is coming from the interest earnings that have been accumulated over the past few years from ARPA, that money that we received from the federal government. We also have $4 million of use of cash reserve. In addition to these major one-time budget solutions or one-time budget sources, we also have nearly $800,000 in budget cuts, primarily in contracts and material across general fund departments. Additionally, we have $450,000 reduction in investments, in annual investments, which includes $150,000 each from development fund, capital projects, and capital equipment, which also includes technology. We have also reduced fringe rate based on the past trends, which accounts for nearly $600,000 savings. We are utilizing $300,000 of unclaimed funds to balance the budget. And lastly, we have identified new revenue that is nearly $900,000. All of this helps to balance the budget specifically for the general fund for 2026. The appropriation is the city's legal authority to make expenditures and incur obligations, as you know. The city charter requires that the city commission adopt the budget resolution prior to the beginning of the fiscal year. The charter also requires that the city manager prepare an appropriation ordinance consistent with the approved budget resolution, which is a temporary appropriation. State law requires that the annual appropriation be adopted no later than April 1st, and this table in front of you shows the 2026 budget resolution as outlined in the ordinance and as presented during the October work session. As you can see here, the top section on the right-hand side shows the governmental fund, which includes the general fund, special revenue funds, debt service, capital project funds, and permanent funds. This totals to nearly $370 million. On the right-hand side, you can see the breakdown of what all is included in the special revenue funds, which includes roadway maintenance, all HUD operating and non-operating funds, miscellaneous grants, and other special revenue. In the bottom section of the larger table, you can see the enterprise funds, which includes aviation operating and capital, as well as water operating and capital, which totals to $601.5 million. And lastly, we have the internal service funds, which are little over $60 million. In totality, as you can see, our annual appropriation is slightly over $1 billion. The budget reflected here, it is operating and capital budget as we discussed during the budget work session. And for any of the community members who are interested in the detailed proposed budget organized by community service area, community priorities, and program areas, all presentations that were presented to you in the October 15th work session are available on the city's website. The presentations were also streamed live. That means they're recorded. Those recordings are also available on city's YouTube site. And as I mentioned earlier, this information is also available on the transparency portal, Dayton Open Data, which can be found at the bottom of the page on the city's website. And so to walk through the key dates, as you know, January 11th is when the public notice of the public hearing was published in the Dayton Daily newspaper. Today is January 21st, which is when the public hearing is taking place. Following that, on February 8th, the entire appropriation will be published in Dayton Daily News, with the first reading taking place on February 18th and the second reading taking place on February 25th. As you know, the appropriation is effective 30 days after the second reading, which means the original appropriation will become effective as of March 27th. So unless there are any questions, we can proceed with the public hearing.
Yes, ma'am. Can you go back? What was the grand total again? The special revenue, the general fund. Remind us what the grand total. Can you go back to that slide?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What I want to mention here is that this appropriation does not include the prior year unexpended appropriation.
Mm-hmm.
And so the original appropriation will be different from what you see in front of you because it will include the prior year unexpended appropriation.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Patel. Thank you, Ms. Patel. Ms. Patel-Jones, thank you. All right. Ms. McClendon, are there any citizens registered, to speak on the public hearing?
Your Honor, there are no citizens registered to speak on the public hearing.
Thank you, Ms. McClendon. Commissioners, do you have any comments or questions on the public hearing?
Not at the moment. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Fairchild?
Yeah, this is a question I've raised in the past. I'm curious if we could go back to the slide of the process. This is a new slide for me. It looks different than the one we typically see. In the previous slide or graphic, there would be a place for evaluation of the budget, of the the budget is supposed to be a policy budget. We have these 5 CSAs, 14 objectives. Can you describe that process?
So that's the process, as the city manager mentioned, that's the policy budget framework, which includes the 5 CSA and 14 community priorities with program area nested under it. That is all part of the budget process. As we're working through this budget process, we look at each CSA and the priorities within each CSA and the program areas within each of those priorities. That is what's presented during the October presentation to you.
Right. And the question I have is, and that usually happens around Q3, right? We haven't had the full year, Q4, and so I've been told that we can't do a full evaluation because we don't have the whole year in place. So now that the full year's been completed, I'm curious of when do we go back and look and say, this was our objective, this was the intended outcome, and this is how we know we're moving in the right direction on that outcome.
So that is provided at the end of February normally, because we have to wait till we close the fiscal year. And then we give departments time to gather the data for their performance metrics. And so the report is not finalized. The annual final report is not finalized until at the end of February. That report provides all of the results of all of the performance metrics that are nested under those community priorities and the CSAs.
And what's that report titled?
It's the performance measures report.
Okay. And will we see that before we adopt the budget?
Commissioner, when we presented the budget in October,
Right.
We give not only the forward look of what the objectives and the priorities will be for the coming year, but there's also, remember, a lot of conversation around what we have accomplished to date. So in that presentation, you saw through the third quarter what the performance was around the priorities that were set for 25.
Right.
And so that gives a snapshot. What Abby is speaking of in terms of totality is that the fourth quarter has to be, we won't report on until we close out our books, which has happened. And so you will get a 12-month look back on 25 performance objectives in April. Or, I'm sorry, probably March, closer to March.
Okay. I think that that's an area where we could improve in terms of evaluating the budget and really the objectives. I think in the previous, we talk about whether our spending leads to outcomes that are effective, efficient, and I'm looking for ways that we demonstrate, the intended outcome and that effectiveness and efficiency. So as we move forward, and particularly as we think about next year's budget process, that's an area where I'd really like for us to put some thought to. Yeah, thank you.
Do you have any other comments or questions?
No, I don't.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Joseph?
Nothing further. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Patel-Jones. We'll now close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of the commission?
Move forward.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ms. McClendon, are there any citizens registered to speak this evening?
Your Honor, there are 8 citizens registered to speak. I would like to state that there is a 3-minute time limit. As you address the commission, we ask that you state your name and address for the record. At that time, I will turn on the green light. When the green light comes on, you will have 3 minutes to speak. After you have spoken 2.5 minutes, a yellow light will come on, and you will have 30 seconds remaining to speak. When the red light comes on, you will be asked to cease your comments and to take your seat. To the audience in attendance, please be mindful this is a business meeting, and we kindly request that during this portion of the meeting, you refrain from any hand clapping, finger snapping, and conversation that would prevent the City Commission from hearing the speaker's comments. I call to the podium Kevin Moore. Name and address for the record.
My name is Kevin Moore, Kevin with a C. I live at 1442 Philadelphia Drive.
Good
You may
evening.
begin.
I'm here to talk about all the good things that y'all have done. I see buildings going up on 3rd Street, the soda baths, new police station, but it's one thing that's troubling me. This address, 410 Gettysburg. 14 Gettysburg. You know what that is? That is a military base. And no, I'm a veteran. And all the proposals y'all been saying, the new revenue, unclaimed funds, there's been nothing said about how to help a veteran. And no, I'm just appalled. I mean, I know we got money to help veterans. That building's been sitting there for about, 4 or 5 years. It could be an incubator. It could give it to the VA. You can make it up for a vet center or something. It's just sitting there going to waste. And I'd like to know what can we do to make it better.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. I appreciate your comments this evening. Something that, Ms. Lofton, that we should look into and get more detailed information. So, again, you're not the first, and I'm sure you will not be the last. This is something that is of concern for all of us. So thank you again. We appreciate you being here and addressing the commission. Thank you, Ms. Lofton.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
I call to the podium Kathleen Galt.
Kathleen Galt, 5066 Safeway Drive, Dayton. Congrats again to Commissioner Fairchild, Mayor Shanice Turner-Sloss, and Darius.
Good evening.
I also want to once again say congrats to the voters for taking Hospital Issue 9 across the goal by, as City Attorney John Musto said on 1/14/26, by an overwhelming margin. So he confirmed once again what we've been saying to all of you for years, that the people of Northwest Dayton are very upset about the closing and destruction of Good Sam. And they took this opportunity to take it, they stepped up to the plates and they voted for issue 9 and took it over that goalpost. So I am asking, because of being down in the trenches for 7 years on this issue, that I would like to ask commissioners and the mayor to meet with the former presidents of CCC, Reverend Carter, Reverend Merritt Worthen, the present president, Bishop Cox, and Nancy Keel, meet with them in regard to what we discovered over these years and talk in detail about the list of doctors, psychiatrists, and other hospital professionals that we have accumulated over those 7 years who we would recommend being on the governing board. And I really celebrate Attorney Musto saying that they're encouraging a public hearing, so to hear from the public about the issue. I also, on the Representative Turner and his security and safety group, I'm a little confused because one would think that crime data on all the neighborhoods would come first before determining where special attention and money should be spent. In downtown Dayton, he wants it to focus on downtown Dayton. We know that they are the political and economic elite of Dayton who are in that group. I'm a 73-year-old lady. I've been walking in downtown Dayton at night for the last 8 years, from say 8 to 10 p.m., walking 5, 6 blocks. I always park far away so I can get my exercise wherever I'm going. I have never had one problem. Only friendly people. I always greet them and say, how you doing? But I've never had a problem in downtown Dayton, ever. Not once. So I would encourage the city of Dayton, if you indeed are going to give Representative Turner that money and focus, pick the highest crime rate and do it at the same time, because it's really unfair to just focus on downtown Dayton. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Galt.
I call to the podium Kyra Wood. Name and address for the record.
4579 Wilmington Pike, Apartment 3, Kettering, Ohio, 45440.
You may begin.
If any member of government, foreign or domestic, would like godly information on how I was able to have Donald Trump submit to me stating this may be America's last Christmas as well as the strikes that took place on Christmas, let me know. If any government, foreign or domestic, would like any information on how I was able to use God's power, having Biden submit to me using spiritual warfare and the borders crisis, having him to say, don't talk to Ohio, let me know. If any government, foreign or domestic, would like information on how I use God's power to send distress signals to shut down the earth for my protection with the war of Israel and Gaza, let me know. If any government, foreign or domestic, would like any information on how I was able to get Putin to submit to me and pull up with nuke tanks when Biden was in office, let me know, as well as summoning his allies to back him up. If any government would like to know my supernatural control of Putin's dead hand, let me know. If any government, foreign or domestic, would like to know any information on how I was able to have nations denounce the U.S. as well as the U.S. dollar using God's spiritual power, let me know. If any government, foreign or domestic, would like information on how I made Kettering police dog Thor cower, let me know when they tried to make him sick me and pointed a gun. If any government, foreign or domestic, would like information on how I on how to protect their country, state, city, or whatever from a hotter than Sodom and Gomorrah natural disaster from God, let me know. but not Ohio, because last time I checked, they were on the list. If any government, foreign or domestic, would like to know how I was able to manipulate the weather, causing earthquakes to shake buildings and supernatural defense, let me know. If any government, foreign or domestic, would like, as well as cosmetic surgeons, would like any information on how I was able to have God destroy the collagen and elasticity of C. epley and A. Capizzi, as well as other officials that haven't died yet, let me know. I also have the renewal of the Eagle with me of the Renewal of Youth. This is a wisdom handed down by me from God. And it's my inheritance. This is free information, and God said it would not hurt for you to learn from me. For anything, it will help. I found an ancient breach inside the American system coming out of the state of Ohio that has granted me this power and authority to do this. And in order to provide what God calls soul security for national leaders and general public, all you will need is a fortress, and it will be a firewall to prevent hackings of the soul, providing soul protection, and is a quick fix. I have been experimenting with this power for decades. Is that it? Okay, to be continued. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wood.
I call to the podium Paul Kerrigan.
Good evening, Paul Kerrigan, 1525 Pershing Boulevard.
Good evening.
We'll start with saying congratulations, new
Thank you,
mayor.
sir.
It's nice to see you there instead of over there where Mr. Beckham is now sitting. Congratulations to you. I looked at your bio. Quite impressive. You're one of those very special, unique people. I'm glad you're leadership right now.
Thank
Happy
you.
to say that. I had handouts that I brought. I hope you got with you. It shows the results of the black traffic box I spoke of the last time I was here in 2025. Things stuck out to me right away, and I knew it was a high volume because we have a lot more traffic than do the next streets, John Glenn, Coventry, Falver, and Rosemont. 9,528 in 2 weeks drove down my street? That blew me away. I know, I'm sure that Smithville's probably 20 times that, to be honest. It's probably up in that area. But then at the volume, look at the volume. You see the threshold each day of the week? The threshold. Do you see the top right corner of this page? Mm-hmm. See what the threshold, violation threshold is? 10? Wow. So, I now have evidence was presented by you guys, provided by the police department. I got to stop and go back to that because Sergeant Gordon Carnes provided me with this data. It took me days to find the right person to talk to because few people at the police department know about these black boxes. There's only 3 have been put in the city. One of them is that Pershing one. The other one was put on Valley, and the other was on East 3rd Street. Both those streets have 35-mile-an-hour speed limits and weren't in residential districts with homes on both sides with children and cats and dogs and people. This is 25-miles-an-hour street. And I don't want to go rehash the whole about the petition process, which was flawed. Because I'm talking about just Pershing Hill from Marymount down to St. Charles, that drastic here with blind spots at both ends. Not the petition that included the entire street all the way to Wayne Avenue. And the cul-de-sac that I live on the corner of, also included in that poll. You know I have because I showed it to you before. Been up and down, talked to everybody on the Hill. Nobody said no except for one. They all wanted a speed bump. And I'm not rehashing that. That's gone. Now you have this evidence. Let's see if something can happen instead of me just coming up here and getting no results. Let's see if the wheels start turning and something happens on my street, because it's been decades. Whoever laid out this city didn't know. And the sergeant I spoke to, give me this information, confessed that, yeah, we know that Pershing is used as a cut-through to the southeastern quadrant of the Dayton. You take our street all the way down to where it gets into Waterville and then Wayne, do a little jog, you're over on Falver, you're out at the end, you're at Wilmington and Patterson, where that car wash wanted to go in that Rite Aid. So you come out. No, and the cop said, no traffic lights, that's why they do it. See the high speeder there? That's only one. There are many more in that 2-week period. So that's where I'm at. I hope to hear from somebody. I hope when I'm here next week, something comes back to me, or before then. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Lofton, if I'm correct, we do have some recommendations from staff, if my memory serves me correct, and I'm sure that we will be revisiting those recommendations. Is that correct, Ms. Lofton?
I will look into
Yes,
making sure
ma'am.
that that
Okay.
is occurring. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Herring.
I call to the podium Paula Humphrey.
Paula Humphrey, 201 West Fairview Avenue. Hello, Commissioners and Mayor. Thank you. Have you started?
You may begin, yes.
Okay. I live in the North Main Street corridor, and I represent those of us who are seniors who have lived in our neighborhoods for well over 40 and 50 years. We are a minority, but collectively, we have acquired much insight and knowledge regarding the changes that Dayton has experienced through the decades. Our neighborhoods in the past were prominent, vibrant, and wonderful places for families. Now this area is horribly blighted and dirty, a dirty area marked by crime and violence. The change was gradual and progressive. People spoke out and appealed to the city government for help and support. Very little was given. Some problems were unavoidable and could not be solved by government. When court-ordered busing was initiated, there was a mass exodus. Many residents left, but many remained behind and vowed to embrace the integration of public schools and welcome the end of segregation in Dayton. We were known as urban pioneers, wanting a better life for our children, who we raised to respect all races and cultures and fulfill Dr. King's prayer that white children and black children would sit side by side in classrooms. People adjusted to busing, and for about 10 years, our neighborhoods were clean, civil, and vibrant. Then things got really bad with crimes and drugs. People were really upset and afraid, made loud appeals to the city government to address the crime situation. But nothing was improved and crime continued. Those who spoke the loudest lost hope and moved away. Many were pillars in our community. Now today, those of us who are in our 70s and 80s, who stayed in the North Main Street area in spite of continued blight, continue to appeal for change and improvement in our area. We attend meetings regularly, we sacrifice personal time, we do hard work in community cleanups, and we form petitions, believing that somehow it will make a difference, but it hasn't. Our city government has ignored our area of town to focus on other ventures of renewal and regrowth elsewhere. I am all for the renaissance of downtown Dayton, but the North Main Street corridor neighborhoods should not be ignored. As elderly citizens, we know we are regarded as unrealistic sometimes and that we're living in the past. But as long as we are here, we will hold our city government accountable. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Humphrey.
I call to the podium Kimaru Wantinza. Name and address for the record.
My name is Kimaru Atenza. I live at 1200 West Grand Avenue in Dayton.
Good evening.
Fourth Amendment to the Constitution provides protection from unreasonable search and seizure. We presently have a federal Republican Party led by a convicted felon that is condoning kidnapping of American citizens as well as leaders of a democratically elected foreign government. Contrary to the American media, Maduro was elected president by the Venezuelan people on July 29, 2024. The Venezuelan presidential term of office is 6 years. He should still be president there. With that being said, what is the police department and the chief specifically going to do to protect its citizens and residents from ICE agents who, without warrants, arrest or detain Daytonians without warrants? The question is not rhetorical. I would like an answer. Any detention of residents without warrants is kidnapping, and kidnapping is illegal. Last week I was in the Dominican Republic, and some of the Dominicans kept telling me, "Oh, you look like you're a Dominican." That was because he wanted to sell me a timeshare. That was his motivation. So, what is to stop ICE agents to tell me, you look like you're a Somalian? Because they want to put me in a for-profit prison. And it doesn't matter to them whether I'm a citizen of this country or not. So that is an issue. And I think that it needs to be dealt with, and the Dayton police chief needs to have a plan that he tells the public what he is going to do and instruct his officers to do to protect its citizens and residents from these rogue ICE agents. This needs to be addressed, and I would like to hear answers. My questions are not rhetorical, and this is a serious issue. For me especially, and my children, because we have African names, and they could say very easily, these aren't citizens, and my driver's license does not say that I'm a citizen, only where I live. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Watkins. Thank you for bringing that before us. Ms. Lofton, if we may, could we please call Lieutenant Colonel Henderson up to speak to that very briefly, if that's fair? Sure. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, Deputy City Manager, Ms. McClendon. I understand the question.
Yes, sir.
As stated. So what we have to keep in mind is that under the United States Constitution, there is a U.S. supremacy clause. So under federal authority, we have no control over federal agents. So if we're called to a scene where ICE is there, if we show up, we can stand by and ensure, basically try to protect the rights of everyone that's there, but we have no authority over those ICE agents. But what I can say is I think we've demonstrated for many years that, the city of Dayton is a welcoming community. We support the right of individuals that are here doing the right thing. One of the things we do not ask victims of crimes, their citizenship or anything. We want to make sure that anyone that is a member of our community feels safe if they're a victim of a crime to contact the Dayton Police Department. We will respond and conduct a criminal investigation based upon what's being reported to us. So I think that's the most important thing. I understand, I'm privy to everything that's going on, but I can assure you that, we're here to ensure that we're protecting the rights of our citizens.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. Thank you, Ms. Lofton.
Great, thanks.
Ms. McClendon.
I call to the podium Greg West.
Greg West, 1320 Kingsley Avenue.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'm coming to address this evening. It's that time of year again where we're doing our recruiting for apprenticeship programs, especially for the cement masons. We're starting classes next month, so anybody who's looking for a career with livable wages, please get with me. They can reach me at 937-280-5444. But also, I'm also speaking on the same thing, but it's with a partnership with Felons with a Future has with Wesley Community Center, where we're starting up a training course for people so that we can do a soft handoff to these apprenticeship programs where they go through, little courses that we have for electrical, concrete, and some general construction right now. The flyer wasn't done. That's why I didn't bring it down. That way we could get it to you, everybody. But if you go up there to Wesley at 3730 Delphus and ask for Paula Thornton, she can give you the information, or you can also call that number for that I gave at the beginning, 280. Almost gave my home number. 937-280-5444. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. West.
I call to the podium Veronica White.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Veronica White. I stay at 250 Allen Street, apartment W119. And I have a problem that's been going on since 2023. I've been staying there. They've been going in my house, taking my stuff, doing all kinds of stuff. I've been calling the police. None of them make police reports. The last one was on the 17th, and I called the police. He did not make a police report. If he doesn't make a police report, I can't take any other action. And it's been going on for a long time. They come in people's house, take their food. The last day on the, what is this? On the 9th of this month, I filed something with the discrimination people. I filed something with the city. I filed everything. If we don't do something about these people that's coming to our country and we scared of them, we're not gonna have a country. But this is, you have to have 24-hour notice to enter somebody's house. And I go to work, I work on the base. I'm the exchange union rep. I can't even go to work without them coming in my house taking stuff. And every time I call the police, no police report. If the police is scared of the people that's coming in our country, they need not to be the police. I'm just saying, if you scared of them, then we need to do something else. And if you're not scared of them, then uphold the law like you said you would hold the law. Because what can I do now? There's nothing that I can do if they don't make police reports. I have spoken to this gentleman right here. I'm going to see if he's going to follow up. But we need to investigate what's going on in that building. And that's all I want to say. So somebody please give me a call. Thank you. Have a nice day.
Thank you, Ms. White. And you're correct, Ms. White, in having a conversation with Lieutenant Colonel Henderson. He'll be able to help you, Ms. Lofton. We'll make sure that we get additional information, and we'll be able to assist you after the meeting. So if you just want to...
If I get no help, I'll come back to see you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Ms. White. Ms. McClendon?
That is all, Your Honor.
Thank you, Ms. McClendon. Ms. Lofton, do you have any closing comments this evening?
I have none. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lofton. Ms. McClendon, do you have any closing comments?
I have none, Your Honor.
Thank you. Commissioners, do you have any closing comments? Commissioner Beckham.
I just want to thank thank you, Mayor. Just want to thank all the residents who came out to speak tonight. Again, appreciate your concerns and comments. As it relates to the budget resolution, certainly excited to see the funding for the violence intervention, the first year of it at least. I think that work is going to be vital in making sure that our city becomes safer, especially in the neighborhoods where we need to support. And in addition to that, the group that was formed and focused on downtown, right? I genuinely believe these are proactive steps to ensure that we continue to take the necessary measures as it relates to, potential incidents downtown. But I want to reiterate my commitment that we have to continue to make our entire city safer, which is why I'm so happy to see the violence intervention funding in this current, in the proposed budget at least. And there's been no money allocated for the recommendations that the Congressman Turner group made. These are purely recommendations. They were accepted by this commission, and we'll certainly review those moving forward. So that's all for me. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Fairchild.
Yeah, thank you. Want to encourage people to come out, even in the cold. Silos tomorrow evening is hosting a special event with Culture Works from 5 to 8 p.m. And besides the good food that's available at the food hall, there'll be raffles and prize drawings and live art experience for everyone who comes to support art organizations and artists throughout Dayton. And if you're not familiar with Silos, it's on First Street near the Kiwi intersection, just a little bit west of Kiwi. So I encourage you to come there. I do want to thank Anthony Whitmore and the MLK Inc. leaders for all the events they do to commemorate the Martin Luther King holiday, and for our city staff who are out there to keep citizens safe, particularly on Monday morning during the walk. And the holiday, particularly as we did the march and going up over 3rd Street, it's always a bit of a challenge for me to get up over the bridge because it's quite steep, and so you have to work and you have to think, and makes you grateful for those leaders in the civil rights movements and throughout our nation's history who have nonviolently worked to bring us to a more perfect union, and who put their lives on the line and in ways to protect the rights of everyone and to help us live into the ideals, even when we've had a history of not living into those ideals, and to move us from injustice to a more just society. And I couldn't help but think on that day that we are in a very fragile moment. Democracies are few, they're fragile, and they're typically short-lived. And I think we can see examples across our country where many places of the foundations that make democracy work, and ultimately at the foundation of that is our relationships with one another. I mean, as citizens, we need to trust one another to be able to go forward, and seeing examples across the nation where that's not being, the foundations are weakening. I hope the MLK legacy inspires us to pick up the mantle, to carry on that work. I think there's examples where constitutional rights are being ignored. Mr. Watenza, thank you for talking about the Fourth Amendment rights. And we see examples where the Fourth Amendment right is not being protected and upheld. Troubling, particularly on the MLK Day, is reports that there are executive orders and Homeland Security policies that are defining nonviolent protests, our First Amendment rights, as criminal, as terrorist activities, which is then creating the space to have violent response to people who would dare exercise their First Amendment rights. And so in a culture, in our society where we're seeing, a threat to the constitutional rights, the avoidance of due process, the erosion of checks and balances, and it's a time where we need to pick up that mantle of that King legacy and of all those leaders who have come before, who have really protected the society and this experiment in self-government. And so I hope that not only is it a reminder, but a catalyst for us to work together, to talk with one another, to talk about what kind of nation we want to be, and then to live into that, and to live into that example, into the King legacy. So I want to work alongside you on those things, and it starts here, but it goes beyond us. We need to hold all elected officials accountable. We all take an oath to defend the Constitution. People, I believe, are not abiding by that oath. We have what I believe is a dereliction of duty in our Congress to be that check and balance And so there's work for us to do, and I look forward to doing it with you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Joseph.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner, for your excellent remarks there. Two things today. First, I want to congratulate the City of Dayton and our staff on earning silver-level Bloomberg Philanthropies What Works Cities certification, which recognizes our use of data to inform policy, improve services, and deliver measurable results for residents. They mentioned specifically innovative efforts like our mediation response unit, which has resolved 98% of more than 7,200 nonviolent 911 calls without police involvement since 2022. Really excellent work and really groundbreaking work. If you want to read the full certification, go to whatworkcities.bloomberg.org, and you can see a whole list of the cities they've honored, including us. Congratulations, Slough, to the staff. We're through these efforts. Second, I want to specifically thank all the city employees who not only worked on Monday, but those who showed up to the events. There were a ton of folks walking. We walked with. It was great to see people come out on a day where they could be sleeping in, especially since it was cold. So I want to thank all the city employees that took part in the MLK events. And finally, I want to thank Ms. Humphrey, who was here. She has been a warrior along North Main Corridor for many years, predating my terms here on commission. I've learned a lot from her. And I just want to say that this commission has heard folks on North Main, what they've said, and we've tried over the years to make a dent in what have been some pretty big problems. For instance, we probably have demolished more derelict homes along the North Main corridor than anywhere else in the city. We have reconstructed the street so as to slow down traffic in response to their concerns. But the changes that we want to make up there, they're not going to happen overnight. The problems have been too deep and they've been too long in the making. So if she was here, I'd reassure her that we're still trying, we haven't forgotten, and this commission is united in wanting to help them up there. So we'll continue our work, and it's great to see her, and she's been a dedicated public servant for many years. So that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioners. I just wanted to foot stomp on and echo all of my colleagues and their comments. You all, in terms of the work that's being done with the Cure Violence Initiative to answer the call and to address the concerns from Ms. Humphrey. Felons with a Future were in fact awarded that proposal or that initiative, that grant to do that work on the North Main Street corridor. So the work is in fact being done. So thank you for highlighting that. And then also to Commissioner Beckham's point, and Ms. Galt, I know that you raised this of concern that those recommendations from the Congressman's office are just that. They're recommendations. The staff, the city manager staff, the office in its entirety, they're vetting those recommendations. There is no funding that has been allocated to those recommendations. But keep in mind, too, that this is an opportunity for us to use it, as Commissioner Fairchild communicated last week, as a model for what's to come in some of our other neighborhoods and all 65 neighborhoods. So again, that work is being done, and those are recommendations. So thank you, Mr. Moore, for being here this evening. Again, we'll follow up and find more information out about that particular site. Ms. Galt, again, and I look forward to reviewing those recommendations. And I don't know if you were here last week, but in regards to the next steps for the public hospital. So we're vetting that process. We're having conversations about that as well. And you're right, Mr. Musto, he did an excellent job, Mr. Musto and Ms. Dosick, in giving us a high-level review as to what the next steps are in that process. Ms. Woods, thank you for being here. Mr. Caring, thank you for providing the data. And if I'm not mistaken, there are some recommendations from staff, and so we'll be going through those recommendations as to what the next steps are. And I know Ms. Lofton is going to help us along that way. And as mentioned, Ms. Humphrey, thank you for being here. I believe Ms. Jackson was able to reassure her, as Commissioner Joseph has already mentioned, that we're definitely not losing sight of the job. We know the concerns, and we're working diligently and hopefully and prayerfully, we will see a lot of that work come into fruition this spring or summer. But again, it's nothing that would take place overnight, but we are definitely rolling up our sleeves and doing the necessary work. Mr. Watinza, thank you for being here. Thank you for your comments. And Mr. West, I look forward to that additional information so that we can make sure that we get that out to our various partners. And I'm glad that you are here so that you can make sure that you share with everyone later on, perhaps a conversation for you and Ms. Humphreys to have. And I'm sure we will have an opportunity where we can update the community on the next steps and where we are in the process for the Cure Violence Initiative. So thank you, Commissioner Beckham, for helping and leading that charge. Ms. White, hopefully we have our information so we can follow up with Ms. White in regards to her concerns that she has as well. As mentioned, uplifting the work of Dr. Whitmore, Dr. Greenlee, Reverend Dr. Cunningham. The list goes on, and so I will stop so I will not forget anyone's name. But again, just a number of well-attended events that took place. The staff, thank you all for coming out this past weekend. The banquet was well-attended. We had people come from Cincinnati, near and far. A number of folks came in town to participate. So again, we really appreciate the work of Dr. Whitmore and the MLK and organization and all the great work that they do, along with Marlene Shackelford, Maha Selassie, in organizing and leading the charge, NAACP, Dr. Forward, for the actual march itself. Couple of things I do want to mention very briefly. Back to Basics for teens. This is a great program. It starts Thursday, January the 22nd through February the 26th, 5:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Lowry Recreation Center. And so I'm actually going to sign my son up for this event. It's free. You must register. Participants will learn how to manage money, stress and balance, job-ready skills, adulting 101, first aid basics, public speaking. For more information, please call 333-3067. Again, that's 333-3067. Another great program brought to our Dayton residents by our Department of Recreation and Services. They do a great job. And then also local food Tuesday, February the 17th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Lowry Recreation Center. Local food is fresh and healthy. Sustainability, this is right up your alley, Commissioner, learning the circle of sustainability. So we encourage people to come out again on Tuesday, February the 17th. And again, this information is readily available on the city's website. Tax season is underway. Thank you, Ms. Reed. We want all residents to participate in the free VITA tax preparation program. Sites will be open from January 24th through April the 15th. Locations and hours vary, and some sites actually require appointments. And then also we want to highlight Super Refund Saturday, which is on Saturday, February the 7th from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Job Center located at 1111 South Edwin C. Moses Boulevard. And again, it's completely free tax preparation. You can call 937-913-2000. Again, that's 937-913-2000. And please spread the word and make sure that you sign up to have your taxes prepared. And with no further business to come before the commission, this meeting is now adjourned.